Hey, it's Steve at Soggy Bottom Farm. I just got done doing this little project right here. I'll show you a couple of ways and the problems I had if you want to stick around. Thanks for giving me somebody to talk to while I was getting a job done. Hey, it's Steve down here at the Soggy Bottom Farm. As you can tell, I got a new pressure tank. Got a bit of an issue going on here at home. It did require me to purchase a couple of things, because I need them out there. If you look beyond my daughter's trust fund here, it's a little bitty house down there. That's where I'm headed. Hey, let me give you a couple of suggestions here, especially to you young guys out there. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you have to take care of your own water source, you're going to put a fancy roof on your little building here with your shallow well pump. Don't make it out of wood. Now maybe it's just me, but by the time you get 59, 60 years old, that thing's a little too heavy to pick up that way. Anyways, if you want to make it more than one time in your life and you want it to weigh a lot, make it out of wood. Another thing about these pump houses, this condensation is crazy. Keep that in mind with using wood or regular steel. You might want to just do like me, right? I just get by with what I got until I can sooner or later afford or come across what I need to do it correctly. So for now, I continue to just get by with what I got. Deal with the mistakes I've made. Anyways, let me show you why this thing's got to go. There's a bit of a bladder inside of this thing, and mine has gone bad. You should not get water out of that petcock right there. That tire valve, whatever you want to call it, Schrader valve. So we got to take this tank out. Early in the video I showed you the blue one. It didn't have a mount on the top of it, so I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to weld this motor mounting bracket to the top of that tank. Hopefully I don't blow a hole in it, but if you wanted to ever try it, you don't want to go back to town, I don't want to go to town, I'm going to give it a shot. Hang in there. Hey, let me give you one more little bit of suggestion if you ever have to make or maintain a pump house. When you run your electricity out here, make sure you got outlets and make sure you have lights, because I am not about to fight that rusty bolt. I'm going to cut him off with a grinder. That'd be a heck of an extension cord for me. Alright, let me get this out of here. By the way, I guess I could tell you, how will you know if your bladder is bad? You can't just keep coming out here, otherwise you got to have an air supply. But if you open up your water and your pump is running like this with the water open, see, the water is running. And that pump is cycling. It started cycling the minute I turned the water on. It shouldn't do that. The bladder inside of there should grow and push the water out until your pressure switch tells the pump to come on. So if you hear your motor cycling on and off a lot, you have a problem with your bladder. Man, let me give you one more pointer here when you're changing one of these tanks. You know, that balloon in here is popped. Now all the water's on top. Gonna have to cut that valve stem off of there and drain all the water off the top of that bladder. Be careful handling it. She's a big one. Dang it. Looks like we got ourselves a bit of a height difference here. Looks like R2-D2. Anyways, got to figure that out too. I got a level sitting on that thing. Looks like we better go out there and make sure that we are somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 4.5 inches. If not, we're going to have to go plumbing shopping. Man, what did we say? 4.5. I'm back down inside the pump house. If I remove that block, oh, I might get 3.5. Let me rearrange a few things. By the way, if you have a shallow well pump or any pump that needs to be primed from time to time with some water, I highly recommend one of them vinegar bottles. That guy's been sitting there for 10 years. Okay, I just laid them 2 blocks over and have changed the height of this. I'm around... I scratched the block there, my original point. So I don't know, 5 3/4, 6 inches. I'm close enough. Get it done. Look, when we get the top chopped off of this thing, we got to be careful, right? When I look at this thing, I don't know if it's going to be safe or not, but it looks like a little tiny air compressor tank to me. This thing may not go in the daughter's trust fund as a piece of trash after all. Maybe we'll turn it into a little air compressor. I'm sure that tank's rated for, bare minimum. Looks like 60 there to me. I bet it'd take 100 pounds. We're going to find out. Alright, I got that thing off of there. I only hit that tank 1 time right there. So if you want to do something like this, be careful if you want to reuse the tank. You don't want to be hitting it with that grinder. Let's get this on top of that blue tank. I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to weld that thing on there. I'm going to grind that paint off. I'm going to weld that old motor plate on there. We're going to get this tank in there. I'm going to risk this in case you're ever trying. And you're at least as good as I am at welding. And trust me, that ain't hard to do. We'll see if we can get away with doing something like this. Welding on one of these tanks. Hey, once you get that thing marked out, here's another little suggestion here. I'm guilty of this myself. I tend to believe from time to time that I'm skilled enough to just leave this on here and take some paint off of there and not damage that tank. But if we're honest with ourselves, it's always going to thin the wall of that tank. And you don't want to shorten the life of your pressure tank. So I highly suggest you grab that old flapper wheel that you weren't patient enough to wait on, like me, and throw it back on there to do this job. Don't hurt the tank. Now I know I can't weld very good, but that doesn't mean that I don't know how. It just means I can't see anymore. So when you decide you're going to go after something like this, and you're going to start welding, direct your heat up here. Don't aim that thing right down in there and blow a hole out of it. Aim it up here and watch that puddle come downhill. That's what I'm going to try to do if I can see it. Wish me luck. That was my last one. I know they ain't pretty, but you know what? It's going to hold that motor on there. No problem. I know I didn't pop it because it's already pressurized. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead, but I am going to paint it. It'll help cover some of that up. Plus, just need to do it. There. Never rust, and nobody will ever know. What do you say while I wait for this paint to dry? I'll give you one last little tip here on replacing one of these bladder tanks. It's very seldom ever the metal tank that goes bad. It's the bladder that pops. And 12 years after buying one of them, there's no way that bladder is going to be the same as it was 12 years ago. I've been working in factories forever. Things evolve. So get your book and go ahead and order the bladder that you have for your new tank the day that you get your new tank installed. That's how you double the life of one of these tanks. Alright, hang in there. I got that thing thrown over the wall in here. Another little thing you might want to give some consideration to is if your situation is like mine, get yourself a little bit of help before you take one of these jobs on. I don't know if you can tell, but I got a little bit impatient waiting on paint to dry. We'll cover it up. You know, silly me, I threw this damn tank in here and I forgot to put this block back on top of there. I gotta take the tank back out. Whatever you do, don't move. Man, I got that thing back in here. Leveled it all up. Looks like I'm gonna be pretty close to hitting the hole, but then I just realized I don't need to make this one match up. I got to do the top ones. I made a mistake again. I only need to cut this one piece of pipe to do this job. Hang in there. Okay. Don't move. Let me get this back off of here. All that trouble in leveling it out. I used a few rocks I found. All right, hang in there. Man, I'm back inside here contemplating this job here, right? I got everything where it is. All I should have to do, if I leave everything alone, I ought to be able to just poke this pipe into that hole by cutting this one nipple right here. Shortening it and using just one coupling. If I can get away with that, everything else should be right. Height-wise, all of that should, be just like it was. I don't have to replace anything. But man, this thing sure is, man, that's horrible. I'm gonna have to deal with that sooner or later. But today we're just gonna get it in there. Hey man, will you reach over there and hand me that pump so I don't have to climb back out of this pump house? I'll just grab the cord. Hang on. Man, you know what I'm about to do is so wrong. I'm going to use this electrical cord to pick up this motor. I don't suggest you do it. Okay, I got that pump up on there. I'll be honest with you, I reached over as soon as I could and grabbed a hold of the garden hose. Well, yeah, don't do that stuff. But it looks like I got to move it this away about 4 or 5 inches. Height-wise, we're going to be okay. Man, I might have a job in front of me. Stick around. Whatever you do, don't move. Man, I gotta tell you, I've been putting this stuff together and some of it's gonna be under quite a strain if I leave it the way it is. I'm here to tell you, I'm gonna leave it the way it is. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So in order to get the longest life I can and reduce as much stress as I can on all this butch plumbing out here, I'm gonna leave this motor unbolted from this tank until I get this tank full of water. And then I'm gonna attach these, the pump to the tank so that I can get the rotation where it needs to be and everything, so that all the strain is off the pipes as it's filling up with water. See, it's moving. When I line everything up, this motor is wanting to move. So I'm going to bolt it down where the plumbing wants to be. Let me just get some work done here. Hang on. Okay, I got that thing completely reassembled. Those nuts holding the motor to the tank are still loose. And I got to get this pressure switch line reattached. I thought I could do this with one coupling, but I cut it I knew I could after I made my first mistake. The first mistake I made was I cut the original pipe right here. Had I cut it right there, I could have unspun this section of pipe and not needed to use that coupling. But anyways, let me get the power turned back on, get this tank full of water, get the motor bolted down, and call it a day. Hey, I had a thought while I was priming this pump here. Don't rely on the foot valve only to maintain the check valve action that goes on in here. If that foot valve gets some rocks or something in it, you'll never get this pump primed without taking this pipe apart. Put a check valve in this vertical piece of pipe right here. Not something real strong, just something that'll allow you to prime the pump. Okay, I'm completely done. Got my pressure line back on there, my insulation on it. I've already cycled it a couple of times, but here, let's do it one more time. You know, if you remember before, the pump would come on, you know, within a few seconds. Man, I don't want to drop this phone. So yeah, now it's, you know, my switch settings are forcing it to, you know, it'll run 30 seconds, but it's just the way I want it. But anyways, I'm done. Got it all put back together. This is my waste from the job. I got another little piece of tubing right here, but I figured I'd put him down here in spare parts. Alright, the only problem I got now is I don't have anywhere to put my jug. I'll figure it out. I'm out.